5,000 fans at the
And we are live here on video with a couple of guys that Georgia fans know very, very well. Jeff Sentell, Brandon Adams also hanging out with Jake Fromm, Georgia quarterback. Weird to say former Georgia quarterback, but I guess you got to do that now. Andrew Thomas as well, one of the anchors of the Georgia offensive line. And Andrew and Jake, let me say to both of you, thanks so much for spending some time with us, kind of updating things, how you're going with your pre-draft process, and giving us a chance to celebrate your great careers at Georgia. Thanks to both of you for being with us. We certainly appreciate your time.
Yeah, guys, thank y'all for having me.
No problem. It's a pleasure to be here.
And Jeff, I know you're excited about. Go ahead, Dan. Go ahead, Jake.
I'm sorry, I had no idea Andrew was on here. What's up, Andrew?
This is kind of like a huddle, isn't it, Andrew? A little bit.
Yeah.
And I think it's appropriate that we've got Andrew in front of Jake in the Zoom box window right there, because Andrew was kind of keeping dudes off of him for a long time.
No doubt.
Hey, guys, we want to get started. If you guys got questions for us, we're going to talk to them for a little bit. But the main thing is we call this DawgNation Appreciation. We did this with Sony Michel and Nick Chubb a while back, where everybody got a chance to say thanks. But also these young men got a chance to say thanks for all the support as well. And that's why we wanted to get both of them on here at the same time. I guess my first question for you guys is Jake, I know you've seen Brandon a little bit in interviews and post games. How do you think about his beard, man? You're a fishing specialist, a hunting specialist. Look what DawgNation Daily's got rolling today.
Man, it's a little bit different, you know. I mean, beard's always a little switch up, but hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, Jake, I guess if I looked as good in my beard as you look in yours, my life would be a little bit different here. A lot of more doors would be open for me, but I'll take that as a pretty good compliment coming from you.
Hey, I had a pretty good one growing, and then coming to stay here at the house, my mom made me shave it. So, man, it was pretty impressive.
Well, my wife's gonna make me shave mine pretty soon, so we're right there in the same boat on that.
So guys, first thing we want to do before we do anything else is kind of like what we just mentioned. If Andrew, you could go first, and then Jake. This is your chance to just speak to the fans, give a shout out. Just if you had a chance to talk to all 93,000 people in Sanford one more time, what would you like to say to all those fans?
I would just say, big thanks to DawgNation. Past 3 years for me have been amazing. My college experience wouldn't be the same, without those guys. We trained every day, me and my brothers, getting ready for the games and seeing that atmosphere, seeing, how many people support us, win or loss. It's the best feeling you can have. It's almost like a family, your family being out there watching you. Just a big thanks to him. I hope y'all continue to support me. I'm still a big Bulldog fan now, but just a big thanks to him.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, I don't know if you say any better than Andrew did. Just thank you. Thank y'all for being there. Thank y'all for bringing the energy, the enthusiasm. Y'all made it fun every single time we walked in that stadium. And I just don't think it'd be the same without y'all, without the experiences with y'all. We had some unbelievable times there in Sanford Stadium and some great times on the road where y'all traveled for us. So just thank y'all. Thank y'all for being there. And this isn't goodbye. Please stay with us. We'll stay with y'all. And just thank y'all for all the memories and all the great times.
Jake, I got a question for you. I don't know what exactly happened to him, but you started out your career at Georgia during the dog walk in your dad's pool work boots.
Yeah.
Did you keep wearing those? Did you eventually put them to the side? Or are you going to have some new work boots when you go to the NFL?
Yeah, so actually I just upgraded work boots. It's just a new year, needed some more work boots. I still have them though. You always have to, keep the old ones. But, just had to get some new work boots. And then this past year, Dad said I needed to look quote unquote sharp. So, he went, he some nice pair of shoes. And Coach Coley, Andrew, DeAndre, they all said I upped my game a little bit. So I'm glad I can kind of compete on their level now.
Andrew, I want to ask you this. I'm sure you get interviewed by tons and tons of teams. If anybody was ever to ask you about Jake in one of those interviews, because maybe they were looking at Jake, what would you tell them on the real about the type of player and the type of performer he would be?
Every time they ask, I just tell them, what an incredible leader he is, how he lightens up the room. I talk about his charisma every day. He's the same person, win or loss, following down or winning. Jake's the same person. He's going to motivate you, have a positive attitude. And then I talk about his strengths as a quarterback, just understanding the game. Like, people don't realize positions that he puts us in by understanding the playbook, things like that. And then his natural talent to be able to throw the ball and make plays when we need him. Just a great all around quarterback.
Jake, I guess you're responsible. I guess Andrew's responsible for your back feeling really well going into the NFL. I want to know, A, what he meant to your performance, and maybe B, how many times did he ever let you get hit at Georgia? Can you count those on one hand?
I easily count them on one hand, no doubt. I mean, I don't think I'd be the quarterback I am today without him. I had a whole lot more time there with him. Games were a lot more fun. He made every single check easier, so I could communicate it, and then it'd start, with him, and then it'd go all the way down to the right side of the line. So just the communicator he was, for me and him, just to be able to talk football together, and just, play beyond just between the lines, the relationship we had. And man, Andrew's a great teammate. I wouldn't have wanted anyone else there. And man, I can't wait to see where he goes and the great NFL career he's going to have.
Jeff, we got a lot of Georgia fans weighing in on both Facebook and YouTube, sending some well wishes in the direction of Andrew and Jake. I want to read a couple of these. Bart Plaster on Facebook saying he hopes to see both Jake and Andrew drafted high in next week's NFL draft. I think we have a really good chance at that. Gary Strickland says awesome memories from both Andrew and Jake in a Georgia uniform, no doubt. Plenty of those great memories, and we're looking forward to sharing some of those. Hunter Davis says, can these guys see our comments? And that's why I'm reading them right now. So Jake and Andrew both can kind of know all the things that are being said. Enrique Murillo saying DGDs. And Jeff, in so many ways, that's what Andrew and Jake will be remembered as part of that 2017 class that came in and became such a transformational class for Georgia. Jeff, when you think about the role that Andrew and Jake played in that, that's a big part of their heritage at UGA, is it not?
Tremendously. I know folks that, Jake made the comment and Andrew made the comment that Jake kind of lights up a room. I remember, gosh, was it 3 years ago already? We're shooting videos. Jake, I still got that Santa Claus suit somewhere in my house. but we were doing something with Nate McBride and the Bulldog. We were trying to stuff a Bulldog into a Christmas present, which really what we weren't supposed to do with PETA or whatever. And I think Richie and Jake grab my phone and they start making selfies and everything all over my phone. I mean, these guys are not acting. This is the way they are. And I think the simplest thing I can say is, man, they're great football players, but they're even better people. I mean, Andrew with the drums and the band, and I'm sure Jake, gosh, man, you've gotten so many questions from, I guess, these Wonderlicks. Want to know how you did on the Wonderlick first, but number two, what's the most interesting draft interview Zoom question you've gotten from these scouts or psychologists?
Gosh, I don't know. There's been a couple weird ones for sure. None that are hitting home on me right now, but man, you have to be on your toes. And I know throughout the process, our guys who were training me, they would hit you, with weird questions, all throughout the sides and just stuff you wouldn't think about. And man, to be able to make sure you're prepared to answer it, gracefully any given time. And I definitely needed that training because, there at the combine, some teams are, it's like a nice, easy interview. And then some teams try to poke and prod you and try to get a little bit of a rise out of you. So you have to be on your toes and you have to be ready.
Along those same lines, Andrew, how different has the process been for you, knowing that it's not a traditional pre-draft cycle? Coronavirus obviously changes that. The meetings have to be done the same way we're talking right now. How different has that process been for you, knowing that you're not face-to-face with these GMs and personnel men?
It's a lot harder to get a real personal connection with those guys. Show them what your character really is. But you just play your best, like Jake said, to be ready. For whatever questions they give you. A lot of my interviews, they want to know, your understanding of the game, explaining your plays, your technique, things like that. And then some teams just want to know about your background, what else you do outside of football, what motivates you, what drives you, and just being able to articulate, you as a person is big for you.
And Jay, getting back to your time at Georgia for a moment, I think I speak for a lot of Georgia fans when I say that one of the most fun things about watching both you and Andrew during your UGA careers was the success that you guys enjoyed against rivals. For instance, Georgia had a little bit of a losing streak against Florida prior to you guys getting there. Yeah, starting in 2017, you put together 3 straight wins. You have some big touchdowns that you throw in there. Andrew's a huge part of that there as well. That, to me, is a really fun part of your legacy at Georgia, the success in particular against Florida, but other rivals as well. Where does that rank for you in terms of your memories and knowing that you kind of flipped that situation in Jacksonville? You had success against Auburn. You had success against Georgia Tech. That success against rivals, knowing that you grew up in the state of Georgia, how important is that for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's big because, growing up, watching Georgia football, you hear about it all the time. And it's a big deal, where I'm at and where I live. And I actually had a Florida fan call me the other day. He said, I watched my first Georgia game when you got there, and I watched my last one when you finished. But, it's very important and, super thankful for the opportunity to go out and be successful, versus those teams. And I know I might be able to speak for Andrew on this one. For us, it's week to week, and there's a rivalry every week. You come in, you have to be on your toes, and you have to win football games. Winning is fun, and we've been thankful to be a part of a lot of winning, and have enjoyed it. And you have to make sure you go in and you give your best week to week, and make sure you're beating the team you need to beat.
What are your memories of those games, Andrew?
Just seeing the turnaround, coming in from my freshman year, making it all the way to the national championship was just amazing for me. Like Jake says, it's week to week. I remember my first week getting ready to play Appalachian State, and it's my first game. And to me, it's the SEC championship. I got to be ready to play. I got to be able to perform. It's my first time being out there. But it was great for me, a great process for me. Big one for me was Auburn, SEC championship. We lost to them early in the year, and then coming back and beating them, that was a big one for me. And obviously the Florida games were big for me also.
No doubt about that. Jeff, what you got?
Guys, I got one. This kind of came from one of our forum members, and it's kind of an offshoot. I remember when we did this with Roquan and Sony and Nick. They were away from the conditioning run, so they said we asked them let us in a little bit inside the door at Georgia. And I think one of the things that Roquan said was he was always miffed that Coach Smart would never let the guys hit Nick or Sony. I mean, they could never rough them up in practice. Do you guys have a cool Georgia practice dealing with the staff story that you'll always remember and hold close to your heart?
For me,
go ahead, Andrew. You got one?
I'll definitely say Coach Smart in practice. He has a microphone in practice. Yelling and screaming. We barely can hear. We're all the way on the offensive field. We can't even hear what Jake is calling because he's screaming on the speaker.
It's over the microphone. We all look at each other I'll be like, what are we gonna do? We don't know what's going on. I got one moment. It was either on the first bye week or the second bye week. We're coming out to practice, and a couple guys, get there late, and then it's all of a sudden, drop what you're doing, just start running across the field. And we ran back and forth across the field. I don't know, sometimes. All right, let's get started now. But it's like, what? What do you do? You just do it. You move on and make sure the guys are out there, on time next time.
Well, what you guys may not realize is because you're on the practice field, that microphone that Smart uses, sometimes you can hear that thing sort of echoing all across campus. I mean, you can
trust me. I know. I mean, my house that we lived at in Athens, isn't far. And our neighbors would say, yeah, we're walking around and we hear them, all the time. And I'm like, whew, dang it. Hate for you guys to hear him at practice. He's great off the practice field. On the practice field, it's a little bit rough.
It's a different kind of thing, isn't it, Jeff?
Hey guys, another one we got for Jake here, and we appreciate the time with both of you guys. But somebody wanted to know, Jake, what was the conversation like after the tow rope and the water skiing incident with Coach Smart? They wanted to know what that meeting was like. What do you remember about that?
Yeah, I kind of remember it's like, he kind of gives me the, dang if you do, dang if you don't, because he has a lake house too, and he's done it. He's been there where I'm at, and it wasn't even my fault. I was in the boat, minding my own business, and it was just my buddy who was out there. He lets go of the rope, and all of a sudden it slingshots back at us, and just trying to protect my face and everybody else, and just one of those things, man. You try to put yourself in a bubble and you can't do it, man. You gotta go live your life and don't worry about those things.
Well, I'll say this as someone who's a little bit older: better outside having fun as opposed to sort of indoors playing video games all the time, right?
No doubt.
Guys, for each of you, we got just a few minutes left. when was the moment as a player on the field where both of you knew that I can move on, I'm good enough to play at the next level? Was there a game, was there a situation where you guys said, you know, if my heart leads me one way or the other, I think I'm ready for that next level?
Go ahead, Jake.
I mean, for me, I knew the fourth game, we played Mississippi State my freshman year. I'm like, all right, you know, like, heck yeah, I can play here on this level. And then later that year, you know, we had played Auburn, you know, lost, and then we played them in the SEC championship again. I'm like, all right, you know, heck yeah, like, I can do this. And then, you know, coming back in the Rose Bowl when we went down, and then we had to go, you know, score on the next drive late in the fourth quarter. And I was like, you know what, if I'm going to be what I want to be, you know, now's the time. We went down and scored. And I don't know, those just kind of like things that I remembered, you know, my freshman year about just, you know, getting ready and like, hey, let's get ready to go play and being able to compete on this level and maybe there's a career after this.
Andrew, before you answer, Jake, can I ask you, you mentioned Mississippi State. How early in the week did you know you were going to start with the flea flicker in that game? Was that something that you knew very early in the week?
Yeah, we had worked it all week. You know, this is like something the coaches put in on Sunday. And so like from Monday to Thursday, you know, we were in. And then like around Thursday, the coaches are like, should we do it? Should we not do it? And then they had like 2 plays on Friday. We were going to do this and do this. And I think Coach Smart picked, all right, we're going to do it. And then we stuck with it. And the rest is history.
And then, Andrew, I'm sorry, you can go ahead.
Yeah, for me, it was my freshman year. And it wasn't just in the games. It was practice for me. That defense that we had my freshman year was, you know, incredible going against Lorenzo, Roquan, Davin every day. It really, you know, told me that, you know, if I can compete with these guys, you know, I have a chance, you know, playing at the next level. And obviously, in the games, for me, it was a national championship going against Alabama. Obviously, everyone knew they had a great, you know, front seven. I felt like as a freshman, I played pretty well against them, so I knew, you know, I had a good chance to play, you know, in the NFL.
Andrew, Michael Lifton watching us on Facebook also mentions the Rose Bowl. And I can say for me, being out there as a half fan, half person covering it for the media, that's probably the most fun week I've ever had. It was just unbelievable. As a player who played in the game, it's one of the historic Georgia moments of all time. What are your own personal Rose Bowl memories?
That was ridiculous. I can't explain, like, the atmosphere. When I remember when we first walked into the stadium, I saw what it was. I didn't even expect it to get like that when it was time to play. And I just remember going into the locker room at halftime and just understanding, you know, what we had to do and coming back out. And for me, that was our first, like, back and forth game because, you know, our offensive style was like, you know, control the clock, run the ball well, you know, maybe plays off of that. But that game was like a real back and forth game. And it's almost like being a fan on the sideline, seeing the defense out there, seeing what's going on. So, I mean, it was just a great experience for me. And us being able to pull it out was amazing.
And, Jake, you made some huge throws in that game. Well, remember the Sony Michel touchdown that won, and obviously Nick had a big game that day too, but some big second-half throws especially. What are your Rose Bowl memories?
Yeah, like Andrew said, you know, just a lot of back and forth. It was like, you know, we were in a boxing match and, you know, whoever could, you know, stand up and take the hit, you know, last was going to win it, you know, going in at halftime. You know, we had that, you know, rodeo play. We're throwing the out route, and we get that. Rod hits the big kick going to halftime. Get a little momentum, but, you know, hey, we need to get things going again, really make a stand there in the second half. Man, it was just fun. Andrew said the atmosphere. I think it was, you know, around the third quarter, that sun starting to set. There's like an orange glow, like, you know, around the top of the field. And it was unbelievable. It was. And, man, you know, one of the most awesome and prestigious games to be a part of and playing.
Jeff, I know our time is short. Let me squeeze in one more here, and then I'll give the floor back over to you. Jake, Georgia's got a new quarterback now. It's Jamie Newman. If you could give it, or we assume it may be Jamie Newman. There's a competition going on. Whoever emerges as the starter, what advice would you give the person that's going to follow in your footsteps at Georgia?
Yeah, I mean, it's simple. Cherish every day you're in it. I mean, it's a special place to be in that position, to play and represent the University of Georgia and the state of Georgia. That's a pretty big deal. Just one not to take lightly. And, you know, your days are short. It seems like just yesterday I was in it, and now I'm not there anymore. So cherish every moment because they're going to be short, and you're going to want to remember them, and you're going to miss it one day.
Jeff.
Guys, I think the last thing I got, we've had some retrospect and everything, but one of the things the fans wanted to know is you guys were clear leaders on the team, especially offensively. They've told me that they felt good about you guys going out for, calling the coin toss before the game or leading the team. Who are the names that you feel, maybe one or two on each side of the ball, that you see as the next future leaders of the Georgia program with you guys moving on to the league?
Got it, Andrew. Go ahead.
For me, I'll say on the defense, definitely Richard. He's going to be an incredible player. He has a great personality, a great teammate. He's definitely going to be, a big-time leader on that side of the ball. And I think a new face, Damari Sawyer on offense, I think is going to be new. A lot of guys, expected him to play really early. Things happen, but he's going to be a great player. He's kept his head up. He's going to continue to fight. I think he's going to, be the anchor on the offensive line.
Yeah, I agree. Richard, Jamari for sure. If we can get Trey Hill to talk a little bit, maybe he could do it. But I think one person everybody's forgetting about is Monty Rice. I don't know if I know a harder worker in the building than Monty Rice, and he's going to be special for that team. He's going to make a lot of plays, and I think he's going to play a big time role in the league.
Well, I'll give the last word to Jeff here before we wrap up. But let me just say this to Jake, Andrew, both of you. These last 3 years for me have been incredibly fun, getting a chance to cover your careers, but frankly, just getting a chance to be a fan and watching both of you play. The trips I've been able to take, the games I've been able to watch, I think I speak on behalf of everyone watching us right now and everyone who kind of represents and makes up DawgNation. Thank you both so much for tremendous careers, for handling yourself both on and off the field in incredibly admirable ways. It's been a real pleasure for me to experience that. I can't wait to see where both of you go in the NFL draft. I know you will continue to represent the GA and your families in this home state of Georgia very well. So from me to both of you, I just want to make sure that I say thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. It means a lot.
Yeah, same thing for me, guys. I've known both of these guys since I believe 2016. I remember my wife and friends would ask me, they're like, is this guy really that type of guy you're writing about? And I think with both of them, I would usually say, and this is when my kids were much younger, I would say, I would let them watch our kids. I would let them hang out with my kids because they're that type of young people. So I don't know if we've ever done this before, if folks are on YouTube, folks are on Facebook, but as a way of saying goodbye to these maybe fine young men or maybe see you later, everybody can just respond with a chat that says thank you or appreciate you or maybe your favorite Fromm or Andrew Thomas memory. I think that would be very fitting as we say thanks for the memories for you between the hedges in Athens.
We'll continue to collect both of those, Jake and Andrew. I know you both got some pre-draft stuff to continue to do. Y'all, good luck on those interviews. Good luck on those workouts. We'll be rooting for whichever uniforms you put on next year. Thanks for spending some time with DawgNation here on this Friday afternoon. We certainly appreciate that, and we'll look forward to getting a chance to see you again very soon.
Yeah, guys. Thank y'all.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.
Yep. Thank y'all.
Thanks, guys.